Hello, everybody, and thanks for listening or thanks for watching. I have really not really done any videos because, I always like to, just kind of sit back and wait to see what develops and wait to see what is happening that is current and what really stands out in the news. And lately, what has been standing out is the R. Kelly situation, and now Cuba Gooding Jr. is accused of sexual misconduct by 7 more women. So allegedly, it was one accuser, I believe. So I'm going to read the article, but then they brought up the name Weinstein, and they also brought up the name Cosby again because he's back in the news. And so now it's Cuba Gooding Jr. And so it's not unlikely, but my thing is that you notice how all these wealthy, powerful, or either famous males are just being taken down one at a time, just like playing bowling and their bowling pins, and they're just going down one at a time. And then if it isn't one at a time, they're going down all together in domino fashion. And so it's really crazy, but I guess the era of, or the trend that men had, that they could like abuse women, sexually exploit women, get away with whatever it was that they were feeling that it was easy to get away with, those days are no more. And so as it reads, this is by a Tyran writer, and this is about the Cuba Gooding Jr. incident. Over 20 women have now accused. Actually, it's saying it's a update saying that over 20 women have now accused Cuba Gooding Jr. of sexual misconduct. So in papers that are filed in Manhattan, prosecutors Tuesday, 7 more women have detailed alleged inappropriate behavior by the 51-year-old actor from 2003 to 2018. So 2 incidents supposedly occurred at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah, while others have said to have taken place in Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Atlanta, and the DA's office intends to use the uncharged crimes as evidence to prove the actor's prior sexual abuse of other women. And so usually what happens in these cases, you notice it's not one, it's not two, it's a history of sexual misconduct. Usually when a person does something 1 or 2 times and they're allowed to get away with it, or if they feel they've gotten away with it, they don't stop there, they continue and they seek other people that they feel that they can get away with it, the same type of incident or maybe worse, and they continue to create this pattern. And what ends up happening is that when 1 or 2 people come forward, then the whole gamut unfolds of what's going on, that it's something that is a long pattern of this person to be an abuser, a sexual abuser. And so he is awaiting trial in New York City on a misdemeanor of sexual abuse and forcible touching charges from 3 incidences. So Yahoo Entertainment attempts to contact the representative for Cuba Gooding Jr., and they weren't immediately successful. Of course, because, they're probably getting ready to try to lawyer up to try to fight these cases that are about to unfold. So Cuba Gooding is accused of groping, kissing, and forcibly touching women without their consent in the new filing. And at an event for a movie in 2005, a woman claims that the actor grabbed her breast and slid his hand down her chest area. According to the papers, again, attempted to obtained by Yahoo Entertainment. So after she had told him to stop, Cuba Gooding Jr. allegedly did it again and attempted to follow her into the women's restroom, where she had to push the defendant out of the bathroom. So 1 week later, at another event for the same movie, Gooding allegedly grabbed her buttocks without her consent. So he's a grabber and a toucher, according to what these women say allegedly happened. So in another instance, the Jerry Maguire star is accused of assaulting a woman in January of 2009 at a Sundance Film Festival while out together one night. The defendant repeatedly asked the woman why she wasn't drinking, allegedly stating, "Aren't you a picky, you know what?" So, bleep, bleep, aren't you a picky bitch? So, that was his statement. So, when she decided to leave, Gooding seemed agitated, and per the documents, he apparently tried to kiss her without her consent, and when she pushed him away, he placed his hand on her buttocks, and so the woman felt that the defendant pushed his hands forcibly into her crotch area of her tights, placing his fingers on her anus, causing her tights to rip. So the woman got away by biting the actor's cheek. So the prosecutors claim that this is what the woman stated in her wow, this is crazy, in her statement that she made. So I didn't know it was this. I knew it was groping, but I didn't know it was to this magnitude. So I'm kind of like reading this for myself for the first time. So I'm like, this is crazy. But another woman, allegedly, she was groped in the Buckhead area of Atlanta in 2011 by the Oscar winner actor. And when she confronted Gooding, the pair allegedly got into a verbal argument where he had threatened, "I know you want to be an actress and I can ruin you." So in 2016, Gooding allegedly forcibly touched a woman's vagina without her consent. So he purportedly stated, "You are peeing on me tonight," and gave her his phone number. Oh, wow, this is crazy. This is almost starting to sound like R. Kelly stuff, but in a whole nother way. This is with women, but this is just as bad. But when he saw her 2 years later at the same restaurant in the Malibu area, he allegedly made another lewd comment. So the actor is accused of a similar misconduct by 3 other women in Monday's filing, all of which his lawyer is denying. So unfortunately, people come out in the woodworks making false allegations against Cuba Gooding Jr., as oftentimes has happened when the celebrity is accused of the district attorney's office in a public forum. Gooding Jr. attorney Mark Heller told Page 6. So the spurious, uncharged allegation offered by the district attorney's office are so ancient and outdated and lacking in detail and impairs the defendant from defending against them. Thus, it demonstrates that the district attorney's office motive in introducing these inflammatory, uncharged allegations is not for any probative value, but to merely gain an advantage against the defendant and prejudice and the jury against the defendant, Heller concluded. So Gooding, his total number of accusers now stand at the number of 22 accusers. So he faces 6 counts of misdemeanor sexual abuse and forcibly touching involving incidences with 3 women. Prosecutors want the other 19 alleged victims to be heard in court to prove a pattern of behavior which they believe shows that the defendant intent to gratify himself sexually, which is an element of sexual contact according to the documents, and that the repeated behavior proves lack of mistake or accident on his part. So the actor has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and the avalanche of misconduct allegations surfaced after his initial arrest 6 months ago, when a woman claimed that she was groped on June 9, 2019 at a bar in New York City. Gooding is due back in court on January the 22nd. Okay, and so here he is here. And so this is not looking good for Gooding at all. And so, Gooding Jr. pleads not guilty to new groping charges. Prosecutor revealed Cuba Gooding Jr. appeared in New York court Tuesday for his arraignment. And so here he is here. And so this is not looking good at all for the actor. So I don't know if the video will play, but it's looking like here it looks as though it's just basically showing you a rundown of what was said in the article. So that is basically it for that incident right there. So now what I noticed also additionally with the Cuba Gooding incident was Bill Cosby was back in the news again. And it didn't look too good either. So, but I believe he may be getting another trial or another chance at a trial, if I'm not mistaken. So Bill Cosby's sex assault verdict upheld. Spokesman lashes out. And so that was 2 hours ago. Bill Cosby loses appeal of sexual assault conviction 9 hours ago, and Bill Cosby decries scheme to destroy America's dad as sexual assault appeal. A sexual assault appeal, I guess they probably don't want to honor it. And so one is 9 hours, one is 4 hours, and one is 2 hours. So the most recent one here, Bill Cosby's sex assault verdict upheld. Spokesman lashes out. And so these, if those of you don't know who Bill Cosby is, most people do. But some people, if they're not informed on what has happened, I believe this article may shed some light on some of the things that have happened. And some people might all already know, and this jogs their memory, but Bill Cosby lost his bid to overturn his sexual assault conviction Tuesday as an appeals court upheld the verdict in the first celebrity trial of the Me Too era. And so in its ruling, the Superior Court affirmed that the right of the prosecutors to call other accusers to bolster their case, the same issue fought over in movie mogul Harvey Weinstein's sexual assault trial, now set for January the 6th, which that's not over either. So this decision is a reminder that no one is above the law. Andrea Constance, the victim in Cosby's case, said in a text message to the Associated Press on Tuesday. So Cosby's lawyers have complained that the judge had let or allowed 5 women to testify at last year's retrial in suburban Philadelphia, although he had let just one woman testify at the first trial in 2017. But the Superior Court said that their testimony was evidence of Cosby's unique sexual assault playbook, and the undermined any claims that he was unaware of or mistaken about the victim's failure to consent. And so the prosecutor who took the case to the trial praised Constance for inspiring other victims to come forward against powerful men. So she went to the police long before the Me Too movement era, saw prominent men in the entertainment business, media, and other fields brought down over their treatment of women. So she came to law enforcement almost 15 years ago seeking justice for what was done to her, Montgomery County District Attorney Kevin Steele said on Tuesday. So the world is forever changed because Andrea's bravery. So lawyers for Cosby had argued 8 issues on the appeal. They challenged the judge's decision to air Cosby's damaging deposition testimony from a related lawsuit, said that he had a binding promise from a former prosecutor that he would never be charged, and said a juror had prejudged Cosby's guilt. And so the appeals court rejected those arguments and also upheld his classification as a sexually violent predator subject to lifetime supervision. So Cosby is who now is 82 years of age, can now ask the state superior court to consider his appeal. So he recently said that he is prepared to serve the full 10-year sentence rather than express remorse to a parole board. So the long-married Bill Cosby, once beloved as America's dad for the TV role of Dr. Cliff Huxtable on the hugely popular sitcom The Cosby Show, was acknowledged having sexual contact with a string of younger women, and many of them went to him for career advice, and then they took alcohol and pills that he had offered. And in response to the court's ruling, a spokesman for the actor repeated the attacks that Cosby's wife and handlers have long made on the judicial system. Cosby has called himself a political prisoner in the mold of the Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr. Icons. So this isn't about justice, spokesman Andrew Wyatt said Tuesday in a statement. This is a political scheme to destroy America's dad. So Cosby maintains his innocence, he said, and he still hopes to prevail at the state Supreme Court. Cosby has been serving a 3 to 10 year sentence at a maximum security prison not far from his estate in suburban Philadelphia, where the 2004 encounter, which he says he deemed consensual, took place, and he was arrested a decade later after a federal judge unsealed portions of the deposition at the request of the AP and Associated Press. And new prosecutors reopened the criminal case. So in the deposition, Cosby acknowledged getting quaaludes in the 1970s to give to women before having intercourse, allegedly. So Judge Stephen O'Neill's decision to let the other accusers testify came after more than 60 women accused Bill Cosby of sexual misconduct. So prosecutors asked to call 19 of the Supreme Court Judge John Bender, who wrote The 94-page opinion focused on the issue when the appeal was argued in August, and so the reality of it is that he gives them drugs and then sexually assaults them. And so in 4 out of the 5 of those were in mentor situations. So Bender said, challenging the defense. So Kristen L. Weisberger, representing Cosby, said one of the women wasn't even sure that she was sexually assaulted. So, however, the panel concluded Tuesday that how Cosby or Bill Cosby planned it, O'Neill had allowed just one other accuser of the Cosby's first trial in 2017. So when the jury was deadlocked. And so the defense has long suggested that many of the accusers were gold diggers seeking money or fame. Cosby agreed to pay Constance $3.4 million to settle the lawsuit. Of course, probably allegedly out of court. She filed after a prosecutor failed to arrest Cosby when she went to the police in 2005. So his insurance company, following his conviction, settled at least 9 other defamation lawsuits filed by the accuser for undisclosed amounts. So Constance, a former Temple University women's basketball team manager who now lives in Toronto, thanked Steele for fighting tirelessly throughout 2 trials and the appeals process for her. So a professional basketball player turned massage therapist, she is launching a foundation to help other sexual assault victims with their healing. And so she is starting to work with law enforcement groups to help them understand the process that the victims go through. So lawyer Gloria Allred, who represented several of the other Cosby accusers who testified, said that they helped show that Mr. Bill Cosby knew when he drugged Andrea Constance that she also had no power to consent. And so the AP or Associated Press does not typically identify sexual assault victims without their permission, which Constance has granted. So this story has been updated to correct that the court ruled Tuesday, not Monday. So that's another issue that is in the news that is pretty hot right now in terms of sexual assault. And we will be hearing more about in January 2020 about the Weinstein case. And so it just seems to be rolling. That ball is rolling, and it's just knocking those pens over of all of these individuals who are involved in these incidences. So we've got the Cosby thing that popped up, and then we have the Cuba Gooding things that are coming out in the news having to do with him more recently, having to do with sexual misconduct of these. Now, what was just 7 is now the numbers are growing on him. And so this is not good at all. And so having said that, I'm going to let this video go, but it just seems like it never ends, and I have a feeling it never will, because I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't believe that these are the only men that we're going to hear about in the news having to do with sexual misconduct or sexual assault in terms of females accusing them of misconduct. And so I believe there are going to be more males that are in power that are coming out right now. They're doing something on not just the Cuba Gooding Jr. and Cosby, but they're still on the Epstein events that are unfolding, and a prince that was a royal that was involved that is now being pretty much pulled into this whole thing. And what is sounding like that's getting bigger, it's starting to grow, like there's a racket that was going on. And there's other names that are hidden that probably soon will be revealed. And what also had came out more recently is that there's a possible collusion going on, and that he was killed while he was in custody, um, Epstein. And I felt, and I'm saying allegedly, opinion wise, that he was murdered because he had the information to pretty much shock the world of the racket going on in not only just Hollywood, but some of the big name people, probably politicians, people that were involved in collusion with this pedophile island, as they call it. And so that has really surfaced, and it is not
A lot of
sitting
folks
well for that issue as well. So having said that, I'm going to let this video go. I feel like this is the beginning of the end of a lot of these big, popular, and famous, big time, powerful, heavy hitters. And then there are some people who aren't celebrities, but they're popular in other ways. They're higher in power. They have high, prestigious titles behind their name. They're behind big jobs or companies. And this is like, I think, beginning of the takedown of a lot of these individuals. And there's going to be a lot more that's going to be revealed in the coming 2020. Based on that pedophile island and the Epstein fiasco. More to come, and I don't think it's over. I don't think it'll ever be over. I think it's bigger than we know, if you ask me. Thanks for listening.